Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 174 of Slamfire Radio for September 30th, 2016. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew the Warning Shot McClatchy.
Hey, I'm Kelly, the classy one, Lynn.
And I'm Adriel, the hunting gear guy, Michaud.
And Trevor is on assignment, and by on assignment we mean he's slacking off.
Yep.
Basically, he said he doesn't like the listeners, he doesn't respect them. We do this joke every time. Is it old yet?
Yep.
It is. So one yes, one no. Well, we got to go with status quo then. So no, it's not. We'll carry on. So, Trevor, what did you do in guns this week? All right, everybody, just skip forward half an hour and we'll jump into Adriel.
All right, let's see. So in order, I ordered and received a Double Alpha Pro belt. So I've got a Black Scorpion belt, and it's all right. But when you guys were down here for that course, Trevor brought his Double Alpha belt, and it is like way stiffer. It's way stiffer, which will hold all the stuff on it better. So I saw that, and I was a little bit jealous, and so I ordered one from MD Gardner, and so did one of my other buddies. So we both got them, and I don't know, they're belt. They're nice.
Well, it's nice whenever your belt is stiff enough to carry all your gear and not sag and stuff. I mean, I didn't realize how important a belt really is until I started carrying a gun on the range, and it's like, oh, well, would you look at that? A stiff, rigid. It's half rigid, half rugged. Excuse me while I have some more ginger beer, because that's all it takes apparently. It's rugged. No, I'm not editing any of that out. I don't care. A good belt actually makes a big difference, and I'm glad you got a good belt.
Well, I mean, that I am too, because I got it and then I immediately used it on Saturday and Sunday for a black badge course.
Nice.
So I went and did my black badge with a couple of buddies of mine.
How'd that go?
In Bonnyville. Oh, excellent. Yeah. It's different than how you guys described it, because whereas you guys, what it sounds like to me is that the courses in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, you guys focus on the qualification for IPSC, and then immediately try to jam in like level 2 match, sanctioned match on the Sunday, so that people are fully qualified, they've shot their first match, and they've been through the whole thing. Whereas in Alberta, and it sounds like maybe Ontario and some of the other provinces, run a more pistol fundamentals course that also has IPSC in it. You run a lot more rounds. You do many more than the required positions and qualifiers that you would need to do for IPSC, and end up spending a lot of time on the range and doing a lot of shooting. So, I was expecting maybe 200 rounds or something like that. Me and a buddy of mine reload. We brought one of those Costco pails of normally of detergent.
Mm-hmm.
That thing half full of 9mm bullets. So lots and lots of ammo, and we ran through all of it. So we figure right around 650 to 700 rounds each.
Wow, that is a lot of shooting.
It is a lot of shooting, and it was a lot of time on the range. The first day we went from 8 till 7 or 8 or something like that. It was silly.
That's crazy. Did you find that a lot of people actually needed that extensive training to get them up to snuff?
It depends on what you consider up to snuff. So if you consider just passing the qualification, absolutely not. You do not need that level of training to just pass the qualification. But to get really to get mildly proficient with your handgun, to be considered a beginner, I kind of think so, because there's only so much you can get from really quickly going through the drills and then doing them one by one. And if you're qualified, then it's up to the next person, that kind of thing. I wish Trevor was on, because I know he'd disagree with me, because he's of the opinion that it's like the black badge is to get qualified for IPSC shooting, and that's the end goal. But
that is my opinion as well. I mean, the black badge course is not supposed. It wasn't designed to be a handgun fundamentals course. It wasn't designed to shoot you to design. Boy, I'm gonna have some more ginger beer. Hold on. It wasn't designed with teaching you how to shoot a handgun in mind. It was designed to teach you how to compete in the sport of IPSC. And so when we hold a black badge course, we fully expect the students to show up already proficient with a handgun. We want them to already know how to use it, how to run it. We don't want people showing up who've never fired one before or only have a couple hundred rounds through one, because you shouldn't be playing IPSC if you're that new to handguns. You shouldn't be playing IPSC until you're somewhat proficient. I mean, this isn't just standing around, in a square range shooting straight down range, bullseye shooting. This is action running and gunning. You're running around with a loaded handgun, shooting at things. And so we don't want newbies out there. Now, be careful how you take that. We want new IPSC shooters out there. We do want new people to join the sport. We just want to make sure that when they show up, they're safe and they're proficient. And while I don't have a problem with the black badge course also integrating the fundamentals, I think it's important that they make that known that they're going to be providing other fundamentals. And I don't think that for instance, you, Adriel, you probably didn't need all of that additional training that they provided for you. Was it helpful? I'm sure it probably was, but you probably didn't need it to be a good shooter in IPSC. All you needed to do was pass the qualifiers, and you should have been on your way. I don't think you should have been forced to pay the fee that you did and shoot the amount of ammo that you were forced to shoot to get your black badge course.
I'll be the contrarian. I liked it. If the difference is, I spend $120 and I do my IPSC qualifying, like little qualifier tests and that kind of thing, and I shoot a level 2 versus $300 to spend a lot more time. Keep in mind, like when I say like pistol fundamentals, like, yeah, we worked on grip and draw and all that kind of stuff, and that's all stuff I'm familiar with. But we also did quite a bit of shooting, more drills that would be in IPSC, going forward, going back, side to side, and a lot more permutations of those. So, like personally, when I look at the money I spent on it, I'm totally fine with it. It's a 2-day course, lots of shooting in there. $300 is likely on the low side of where that would be if it was like a non-IPSC qualified kind of a thing.
Right.
So I'm fine with the amount of money.
So you definitely feel like you got your money's worth then.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that's great. I have no issue with that, but like I said, I still think because my guess is they won't. Say I was coming out and say I wanted to take my black badge course. They probably wouldn't allow me to just go shoot the qualifiers to prove that I was black badge qualified. They would probably force me to do the whole thing.
And for a pro shooter, it would be a waste of time and a waste of money.
So I'm just
a pro shooter,
right? And I guess the reality probably is people who are getting into IPSC probably aren't pro shooters already. I think a lot of people end up becoming pro shooters because they've been shooting IPSC. So maybe that course is just fine. And there's I don't have an issue with that. I guess I'm just of the opinion that the black badge wasn't designed to be a fundamentals course. It was designed to go, hey, are you safe enough to shoot IPSC? You are? Okay, cool. Go shoot IPSC. But, whatever. They're taking it and they're putting a different spin on it and giving you some additional training. And as long as people feel like they're getting their money's worth, then I got no issue with that, as long as they end up qualified at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, it would be I would say ideal to have them all consistent across the country, because you wouldn't want to have one and one the other. Now, the other reason why I was saying that it's okay, $300 for a 2-day course where you're shooting handguns and you just so happen to get a black badge at the end of it. there aren't a lot of pistol courses out here in Alberta, and this is Alberta. Like our population isn't that bad, but it's not really dense, and there's not really a lot of courses you can take just for shooting pistols, and there's just not a lot that you can see around. I mean, one of the competitors, and I mentioned this to you guys over Voxa there. One of the one of the participants to this course, he was told by the Alberta CFO that he needed to get his black badge qualification as part of getting his ATC. Now, he's getting his ATC because he's getting a wilderness carry ATC. He's got a trap line, and he wanted to bring his handgun out there for self-defense kind of a thing. And they told him, go take your black badge.
Interesting.
The pistol training, right?
Well, there's no recognized pistol training in the country except for a black badge.
Yeah, so that's what they've defaulted to and said, okay, fine, get your black badge. And in this case, that turns out to be quite good because it turns out that kind of black badge course is probably going to give him the skills that he needs to use his gun for self-defense out in the woods. But you did touch on an important point that I just want to touch back on it for a quick second is it should be consistent across the country. It really should be. IPSC is it's an international sport, and yes, Canada is the only country that has the black badge course, but it is, it's not like it's a federal law, and so we expect it to be enforced, at least we would like it to be, our federal law to be enforced the same between provinces, but this is an IPSC Canada mandated course, and you would think that between the provinces it should be ideally identical, and if not identical, at least very close.
Well, if you were just to like throw the whole thing out and start over from scratch again, likely what there's room for is challenging the test. Right. You should be able to take a course that gets you like really up on pistol shooting and is focused around IPSC, so that you're going to be like not a rank beginner, but like a beginner when you first go to your first IPSC course. But and then they should have one that just lets you challenge the exam, like as it were, so that
go shoot the qualifiers and write the exam. Yeah, so you write the exam, you shoot the qualifiers, you pass everything, you're good to go. But we have mentioned before too, the issue with that is, and because like I said we've mentioned before, is the test isn't really designed to test your knowledge. It's more designed to force you to read the rule book. So, just passing that test doesn't give the student the opportunity to have that discussion in class and to get the finer points of some of those rules. But, I mean, that being said, it could be re-engineered to have them understand things a little bit better, and then they would certainly learn quick enough on their first match.
Well, you can, like, we're sending people out to do 6 hours of classroom time with a teacher when you could do a 6-hour YouTube video, force them to watch it as part of, like, I don't know. There's plenty of online classroom software that lets you do this. Yep. Why do you have to go and say the same dang thing 6 times, like for 6 hours to every single class, when you could be like I see the value in the instructors is in body movements,
the practical,
is in draws. All that stuff is, give me all that stuff. That's what I want to pay for.
Absolutely.
I don't want to pay for
the theory.
Discussing the theory and the paperwork. And
you're right. Yeah. The theory can be taught through a video. Not as effectively, I would argue, because that classroom discussion dynamic does really add, to the learning experience. But, yeah, I see where you're coming from. But,
like, why spend one or two instructors' time for 6 hours for like 6 students, like ad infinitum for all? Anyways, I mean that would give you a solution where you've got your tools to get people certified if they need to get certified and they consider themselves a pro shooter. I'd argue that most of the people who are just getting into it like aren't ready to just go ahead and do a qualifier. They need some level of training to get through.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and that's been my experience too. There have been very few students that I've taught the black badge course to where I just kind of went, oh, well, this guy knows what he's doing. I don't really have to worry about him. He's going to pass everything just fine. And most people who show up, maybe it's not their first time with their handgun, but it certainly isn't, it's not their best friend yet, so to speak. They still are a little unfamiliar with it.
Yeah. Well, take me and my buddies. Like, we all shoot 3-gun. We've been shooting 3-gun for 2 years, so we're familiar with the pistol. But there's a couple of things that are gotchas in IPSC that you need to know about. Reloading on the move, reloading going back down range, reloading going up range. There's lots of places where you'll pass 90, or you'll sweep yourself, or whatever the case might be. So, like, we didn't need as much practice on like remedial drills, remedial actions for jams and that kind of thing. But the rest of this stuff was all really good.
Yep. Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, I'm glad that you felt like you got your money's worth. I'm glad that you had a good time and that you learned lots of stuff. So that's all great. I guess my only gripe is I just wish we had a bit more consistency. And
the range that we were doing this black badge at hasn't had an IPSC match yet.
Really?
So there's a
so they're putting on the black here. So they're putting on the black badge course, but they haven't even shot matches there yet.
Correct. Huh. So the possibility of doing a sanctioned level 2 match would be like almost too early, I guess you could say, for this one. So what they're trying to do is get lots of local shooters qualified, so that early next year they can start doing matches and have locals going out to it and have that demand for it, right?
Yeah.
I think I think Bonnyville is really close to Edmonton. Anyways, I think their matches would fill up because it's a 2-hour drive. It's not that far. They've got a really nice range there too. You shot at that range.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they've got like a whole bunch of bays, lots of different spots for pistol shooting, lots of interesting things. So, yeah, I mean that's I guess that's what I did. That's what I did on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday we didn't do like a level 2 match. We did like a stage. What was it, like 32 rounds, something like that, 32 round stage. Just a small little pistol stage. Again, like for me, like I already do stages for 3 guns, so I'm used to those. I got the fastest time.
Awesome. Well, that's always good.
Not the fastest time, the best. What is it? Magic number you come hit factor that you come out with IPSC.
Yeah.
Oh my, the scoring is so complicated. I'm used to like time plus with 3 gun. It's like, oh, you got to miss. Okay, add 5 seconds on top of this score. With IPSC, it's like time to bring out the calculator or even the tablet. So it's like, oh, there's an alpha there and there's a Charlie there because that's this many points. And oh man,
it is definitely more complicated than even IDPA. Like it's a complicated scoring system. That's for sure.
I think it's a cooler scoring system because it ends up giving like an effectiveness rating instead of whatever else the other thing is, right? So it's it's a little bit more. I don't know. It feels like it was well thought through. It's just complicated compared to some of the other ones out there.
So,
yeah.
Did you get your black badge?
Well, I've got a black badge like card, and it says qualifier number, location. That's yet to be filled out because I think that's the match that I have to take. I have to take a match now.
You have to take a match now.
Yeah, and so you've done the course.
Nothing. There's no matches. I guess people are wimps, and this is too cold for them. So there's no more matches for this year.
What's the temperature like out there this time of year?
It's like 14. It's beautiful. We're gonna be shooting 3 gun into November.
Oh, come on. Yeah, they got to put a match on. So how long do you have to take your match before you would have to take your black badge again?
A year. So I'll just take it. I'll just take it in the springtime, kind of a thing. So
cool.
That's that. Yeah. I'm hoping to get a lot more pistol practice, and I hope to get that through some IPSC competitions.
Cool.
What else? I got a G code. I don't even know what you call it. It's
a belt thingy.
Yeah, belt thingy.
Yeah.
I've got the holster with the STI hanger. It's got the key mod kind of hanger steel thing on it.
Isn't it RTI?
RTI. There we go. You're the rep. You should know this. You should know this stuff. I don't.
Should. Yeah.
What's the belt thing you called that?
It's belt thingy. You nailed it.
Belt thingy.
Belt thingy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of those.
Hanger maybe? Belt hanger? I don't know.
Yeah. Offset belt hanger thingamabobber. Anyways, I got one of those.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now you can use your holster.
Now I can use my holster. Although it's dropped low enough that the heel of the handgun may droop down below the belt, so I might have to modify it to get it to go a little bit higher, so it's IPSC legal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to make sure that that stays legal if you want to use that in IPSC.
Yeah, but it's really comfortable, and I really like it covers the barrel because the other one I was using was a chopped F&S regular length holster.
Yep.
And it's really nice quality. I don't know if it's a G-code one though. I think it might be solely Canadian. I think it might be one of their holsters that just uses the RTI hanger on it.
Cool.
Yeah. I got that, and I got an MKA 1919 match semi-automatic shotgun from Tactical Imports. That's just a lender kind of a thing. So they asked me if I would review that. So I think I'm gonna try it at 3-gun.
That should be fun. You'll turn a lot of heads with that.
I don't know.
You're not supposed to shoot.
Anyone else runs one.
You're not supposed to shoot your AR in this stage. It's a shotgun stage. This is my shotgun. What?
I really like it. It's got a couple of features on it that are killer. So it's got, skeletonized magwell. Who cares? It looks cool, but it doesn't really add too much to the functionality. This thing's built for matches. So it's got a left-handed non-reciprocating charging handle. So if you'd like to do the mag drop thing and keep your right hand on the gun while your left goes for the magazine and then strokes the charging handle, or if you just prefer using your left hand for charging, it's there. The right hand handle, directly on the bolt, is reciprocating, and it's there as an option if you want that. The magazine release is like an extended biggie sized one, so it's easier to hit. The bolt release, same thing, nice and big and extended. Ambi safety. What else is on here? Aluminum upper and lower, aluminum forend.
How much does it weigh?
I don't know. It's not that heavy.
It's a lot like my BR99. When they were at the Toronto Gun Show, I went and had a look at it, and it's almost exactly the same. You got the aluminum. Does it have the aluminum grips on it, or is that the plastic?
Plastic grips on it. Yeah. It's like an AR style. I'd imagine this looks like it would just take an AR grip. Chokes, which is really good for 3-gun, or required for 3-gun, because if you have like a far target, you're going to need to run something tighter, and if you got something close, you'd prefer like an improved cylinder. And if you have just cylinder on 3-gun, you get your butt kicked because you can't knock down steel with your target loads.
Yep.
It's got a telescoping buttstock and mash hook interface on the rear of the receiver, so you can run a single point sling, and like a 10-pound trigger. Really heavy trigger. Kelly, is your BR99, does it have like a really heavy trigger on it?
Yep, it does.
Yeah, but I think for a shotgun, that's fine. If this was a rifle, I'd be throwing it in the garbage. But
that's the thing. I've never minded a heavy trigger on a shotgun. It just has never bothered me. I mean, a light trigger is obviously nice, but it's not that nearly as important as a light trigger on a rifle.
Yeah. Mags drop free, which is nice. So as you push that button, they drop right out. They're steel. They're a little bit heavy. So.
And do they take Beowulf mags?
Oh, I wish. No, they take these steel 5-round mags. Now, if I shoot this in my 3-gun, I'm gonna have to source some more, because we run like high round count stages at my 3-gun club, and I don't want to run out of ammo like I did last time.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're new into 3-gun and you're looking at competing in 3-gun, and you like your AR and you're trained with your AR, and you don't want to learn the new skill of running shot shell carriers in your shotgun, this is a better system to go with.
And it's, bags.
Yeah.
Easy to feed, right?
And they just slide straight in, right? They're not a rock and lock or anything.
Yeah, straight in.
Nice.
Yeah, straight in and drop free, and all the controls are the same as your ARs. I think for pouches, I think it might fit like an AK-47 pouch, or like a double
AK-47.
Yep.
With the banana clip.
Yep.
Basically, cut a man in half.
Yeah. So that's all I did in guns this week. Kelly, what about you?
I didn't go to and shoot anything this week. It was really, I went to SFRC, and Dave Moralt, who is the gunsmith there. Remember last week we were talking about revolvers and the fact that there isn't anybody really in Canada to work on them?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to him, and I said, "Hey, Dave, do you do revolvers?" And he says, "Why, yes, I do." He was working on one right then and there. So So if you want your revolver and you have if you have issues with your revolver, just go and talk to Dave.
I have issues with
SFR.
revolvers. Oh, sorry.
Not those types of issues. If you want one fixed. Anyways. We brought the ACR in. Remember, we were having problems with the Kevin was having problems with the ACR barrel. Mm-hmm. So Dave was giving him some suggestions on that as well. We think it's probably the fact that his barrels, he tightens it, and then it's coming loose again. And then he'll tighten it, and he'll get good groupings. So,
if it comes loose, if your barrel's loose, you're not going to get good groups.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We figured it out. So,
well, that's good. At least it's a simple fix.
Yeah, it is.
Get some Loctite on there or something.
Yep. And so, as I said, I didn't do any shooting. Usually on Sunday we go and do shooting, but there was the AGM for Frontenac going on. So the general membership meeting was at Frontenac, and because of the fact that I'm an associate member, I'm not a full member until I actually go and do my new members thing. I couldn't go, so it was quite sad. I mean, I cleaned the house on Sunday, so but
well, I guess that's important too.
Yeah, it is. So the other thing that I've been doing with the Canadian Coalitions for Firearms Rights is we're putting together a Gunny Girl calendar for 2017. So if any of you guys that are listening, not guys, gals, that are listening, want to be part of the calendar, check out the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights on Facebook. There is a form that you can fill out, and you can submit some pictures and all that, and you can be part of the calendar.
Well, it's not very inclusive. Yeah, what about us?
What about us?
What about you? You could submit pictures.
I'm good looking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be. How about July, and we can see you in a bikini, and
I'll be like December.
I'll pull that guy out.
I'll be like December with all the clothes on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
and
that's probably the safest way for me. Yep. Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, we're looking for submissions. So if you know of a girl that you might like to see in it as well, tell them to go on over and submit.
How do you bring that up at dinner? Honey?
At the range. Hey, pretty good.
Hey, could you put that gun down for a sec?
Yeah.
I have something to ask you.
Well, you can take the picture first with the gun and then say, hey, I have something to ask you.
Right.
Do you mind if... Anyways.
Yeah. I see this going poorly.
But yeah.
It's for the guys.
Sorry? You still want one for the...
Well, I'd still demanded equal rights, so I'm going to send a picture in.
Okay.
I think you should.
You should.
Yep.
Anyways, that's what I've been doing.
Cool.
Yeah, what about you, Matthew?
I did nothing. Gun related, that is. I did a lot of things. I went flying, I cut wood, I split wood, I stacked wood. I did like the ant, not the grasshopper. Getting ready for winter. Getting ready for winter. Yeah, but no, I haven't done any gun related stuff. The next gun related thing I will do likely is go and get my hunting license, because small game, and deer opens up the day after tomorrow, I think, October 1st. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'll get to start carrying my shotgun around in my truck and go out and try to get me some partridge. By partridge, of course, I mean grouse, because we don't have any partridge around here. Just grouse. So, Anyway, that's what I will be doing. So that's basically it. I guess that brings us into the upcoming events, which is the first one is Brian S. is putting on a Valkyrie Defense Counter Ambush Concepts course in Battle Creek, Michigan on October 9th. The Furlachi handgun courses, July 15th and 16th in Alberta. Basic handgun only has 3 spots left now, and critical handgun is still full with 1 person on a waiting list. So if you're interested in basic handgun, contact us, and critical handgun, you can get on the list. If anybody cancels, you would be put on. The CAPS course with Dave Young, the use of force 2-day class, has been canceled due to boo. So due to lack of interest. So maybe it was short notice, maybe just a wrong time of year. Don't know. We're going to try again next year and see if we can get him to come out and put that course on, because I really want to take that course, and I'm sure there are lots of guys around who could make good use of that as well. So, Ragnarok, I think I have a problem with that every week. Yeah. Yep, Ragnarok Tactical putting on a carbine operator course at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club. So if you want to be an operator, you can go take that course. That is going to be October 15th. The Woodstock, and this is Woodstock, New Brunswick, not Woodstock, Ontario. There is a fundraiser draw, and the draw will be taking place October 15th, so that's coming right up. I guess 2 weeks. Tickets are $10 a piece. You can contact the club at wprc2005@gmail.com, and maybe we can put that in the show notes. But they do a raffle every year to raise money for the club, and they got some pretty sweet prizes. I mean, there's a helicopter ride for a prize this year, and I am looking forward to winning that. So I know the pilot. I won't say his name because he likes to stay a little incognito, but I know the pilot, and I'm looking at you, buddy. You just make sure you pull my name out of that hat, huh? And from Kevin, the 17th Annual Hunters Sight-In and Swap Meet. You can bring surplus gear to trade or barter. It's at the Frontenac Rifle and Pistol Club in Kingston, Ontario, and you can get more information at frpc.ca.
I'll put it in the show notes.
In the show notes, because I'm not going to read the rest of that because that's long.
No one wants to type it in anyways.
No, they just want to go click. So go to the website, and our website is slamfireradio.com. It took me a second to remember what it was.
Where am I?
Where am
I
I?
just have to type that one in. There's just no escaping this.
Anyway, yeah. I guess that brings us to the news next. And so whoever put in the news articles, go ahead and take them away.
Well, the first one's pretty easy. The CCFR has a new website.
Wow, thank you, Adriel. And next. No, I'm just kidding. Is that basically it on that one, though?
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
I haven't even seen it. I should go there.
Yes, you should.
Yeah. What is it? Is it CCR?
No, it's firearmsrights.ca.
Oh. Well, I wouldn't have found that.
Wait a minute. Nope.
So it's not that.
Rights. Oh, there we go. Don't go to firearm rights.
Leave the S out.
Firearmrights.ca.
Yeah. There you go.
Like, I checked this before the show. I was on it.
Good job, Adriel.
Oh, it does look nice. I like it. That's a good website. You guys should go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a little slider on the top there and some banner images, and looks good on a phone too.
Cool. Very nice. All right.
The next one here, I've got it pulled up here. St. John police officer injured in firing range accident. The officer was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. An officer with the St. John Police Force is in hospital after an accident Monday morning at a New Brunswick firing range. According to WorkSafe New Brunswick, the officer's injury was the result of an accidental discharge of a firearm during a training exercise. The officer's injuries are not life-threatening. Kennebecasis Valley?
No, you nailed it. Say that again. Kennebecasis.
Kennebecasis? No. Some sort of police force of some kind is investigating.
Yeah. The only takeaway from this is there's from Mark and James B. There's no such thing as an accidental discharge, only a negligent discharge. So actually, that's not true. There is such thing as an accidental discharge, and that's when your gun malfunctions. If there's a physical problem with it and it malfunctions, that's an accident. But if you press the trigger in the wrong direction and it goes off, that's negligent. So I'm guessing this was probably a negligent discharge, and it happens far more often than people know.
Well, I mean, especially if you're training and you're under stress and maybe you're not as good with your pistol as you think you are, and you end up preloading the trigger, it
that's
happens.
What it boils down to. Yeah, absolutely. I will stay rather vague, but I've been to a range where right after the police left after doing their qualifications, and we found a hole in the side of the shooting house. So you're supposed to be shooting forward, and there was a hole 90 degrees from downrange. Like, no, boys, that you got to keep your guns pointed in the safe direction. Just because you're cops and you're allowed to carry guns doesn't mean you're infallible with them. You will still make mistakes if you don't follow the rules. We have these rules for a reason, and I don't know. It bothers me a little bit because I think we should be holding our police forces to a higher standard. I certainly don't want to see anybody, have a negligent discharge. But the last people I would expect, or would theoretically expect to have one, would be somebody who is carrying one as a job. You should be very proficient. But sadly, that's actually not the case. Most police officers that I've trained with, or trained, or shot alongside, needed work.
Yeah, and I mean, like, getting out to the range and practicing is one way to do it. And I think, at first I kind of thought like, cops are shooting themselves again. But like, at the same time, you put a bunch of people on a course who like normally, like, you look at what a officer does day to day. They like pull people over and pull over people with like wide loads that don't have like proper markers on it, and deal with drunk people and that kind of thing. They're not like. They're not with their like guns 24, or they're not using their guns. Fighters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I get
on
that.
them, but they're not using it a lot. They're not holstering it, a lot of times in different situations, and all it takes is reaching down and not hitting your holster and hitting the trigger instead, and
No, you're right. I do understand that there's a very good reason for this happening, but I still don't believe there's any sort of excuse.
No,
so,
you're right.
But anyhow,
the reality is, Matthew, you probably have put more rounds downrange than a cop would as well.
probably.
You get more time on the range.
Yeah.
Right?
More than likely. Yep.
More than likely.
Yep. But like Angel said, this isn't most cops. Actually, most cops aren't even gun people. They didn't become a cop because they got to carry a gun. That's why I thought anybody anybody wanted to be a cop, because that's for me it was like, well, hey, I should be a cop, then I'd be allowed to carry a gun all the time. Obviously, that's the wrong mentality to have for wanting to be a police officer, which is why I didn't become one. But most people, most cops, just because they're carrying a gun doesn't necessarily mean they're gunnies, and most of them aren't, and so that's why we do see this higher than normal accident rate with them, I think. But whatever, it is what it is, and the biggest thing that I'm happy about is it was non-life threatening injury. So he lived to learn from it and to fight another day. And by fight another day, I mean ticket somebody for driving too fast.
Exactly.
All right, I can take this one from Jason Phelp if you want. Or
sure.
James. Is it James Phelp or Jason Phelp that sent this
Jason.
in?
It certainly does say
Jason.
James Phelp in the show notes, though.
But
I wrote it wrong.
No, I believe it's his younger brother, maybe. Older brother, perhaps. Father, I don't know. Nephew. So
hi, Jason. Anyways.
We're going to call him James from now on.
Speaking of cops, this one is a story about a police officer in Calgary. Well, not really about him. 9 handguns, 4 rifles, and a Calgary police badge was stolen in a break-in. So it looks like there was 2 guys that broke into his home. So members of the public are being asked to help identify 2 thieves who stole 9 handguns, 4 rifles, and a badge from a retired police officer from a house in southeast Calgary. The daytime break-in happened on September 14th in the 100 block of Copperfield Heights, Southeast. Police released images of the CCTV footage and shows the suspects, as well as a picture of the stolen badge. So, 2 guys broke into a retired police officer's home and basically...
Was that all that was stolen? Or does it
That's all they reported was stolen.
Oh, okay. I wonder if this was like a targeted hit. I wonder if they knew that he was a retired police officer and knew that he might have guns and a badge and hit that place on purpose to gain those items specifically. Because if so, that's kind of nefarious, even more so than a normal break-in. And you got to wonder what sort of things they have planned with that gear.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, check it out. Especially people in Calgary. It's 2 young guys. Anyways. All right. So that's it with that.
All right. This next one from Rob B. is from Australia. And the Melbourne police are saying that there's a huge increase in the silencers. They're finding a whole lot of silencers. huge increase. I think they found one last year. I think it was more than that, but the whole point of the story was that it was really overblown, and they're quoting like Hollywood and saying that the only reason you'd ever want a silencer is so that you can be an assassin, basically. And they're talking about how people have been shot and nobody heard any shots, and so there's like this big scare on for silencers. Well, I mean, I guess the underworld could be using these and for mob hits and stuff, but my take on criminal gun violence has always been, let's toss them some more ammo, and if they're doing it and being quiet, I'm not even getting disturbed.
Look at how nice those guys are.
Look, they're being polite, they're not disrupting the neighborhood, and they're taking out the bad guys. So what? All right.
Consider it.
Very considerate of them. But yeah, no, it was just another example of basic, I don't know, yellow journalism almost, where they're taking some minor issue and blowing it way out of proportion. But that's the anti-gun sentiment that we get from most Commonwealth countries, and looks like Australia included by this article. So anyway, thanks to Rob B for sending that in. G'day. I don't know if Rob B is actually Australian himself. I think maybe he just found it, but we can say g'day to him anyway.
I don't know. He's he's one of our Patreon.
Awesome.
So
is he an Australian Patreon though?
I'm assuming.
I think so, because he had mentioned this is what we're facing down in Australia in his email.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't read the rest of the email, so. Well, Rob, g'day, and actually, good morning, because it's nighttime here, and so obviously it's morning there, because you're on the other side of the world, almost literally. Very cool. All right, so you got an update for us, Kelly, from the from Smith & Wesson?
Okay, yeah, so Smith & Wesson M&P 1522, there was a ban on it at Appleseed, but so give you a little bit of background. So, so there were some issues with it basically going off in battery, some failures in battery. So it was banned on the line at Appleseed. We got some information to say that Smith & Wesson, it's still banned. So if you have any issues with your M&P 1522, you should call their customer service department. It's 1-800-331 0852. They're very happy to talk to everybody who has purchased an M&P 1522, see if there's any issues at all, and they're working with people to try and fix the problem.
And just to be clear, it's Appleseed program that says ban these, not like the Canadian government.
That is correct.
You're not in possession of a prohibited firearm. They're not banned in Canada. Just at Appleseed events. They're banned on the line.
Yeah, so it just means that there's been some things that have happened on the line that have caused some issues, and they're concerned about it, so they've taken them off the line. And so they've just noticed that they're, as I said, well, in battery, there's, some issues.
Okay, cool. All right.
So give them a call.
Joining us for our main topic this week is Brian Sheets. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, I'm pretty good, guys. How are you?
Can't complain.
Good.
He said guys, though, so that means Adriel and Kelly are supposed to say how they are, too.
It's been a long time since I've seen Kelly. That's all I can say. It's like what?
Like what?
2 weeks, 3 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time. Miss you, buddy.
Yeah, I miss you, too. I mean, you're the only one of the hosts that will actually come down and hang out with me. I don't get it.
And you know what? I've done it twice.
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like 3 times within the last year, too. 3 times in the last 12 months.
Well, I don't know about you, Matthew, but I haven't even got an invite.
No, me either.
Whatever.
So apparently they don't like us.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. Click. No, seriously though, you had a bit of an adventure, I guess, to put it lightly, a little while back, and we thought we'd have you on and have you share said adventure with us, and maybe some lessons learned, and maybe a little bit of a primer on tourniquet use.
Yeah, I can do that.
that kind of gives away a little bit, although anybody who's listening probably has already read the title, so they already know, it's not really a surprise that we're going to be talking about tourniquets. So when you have a head wound, it's just right around the base of the neck is where you put
just
it?
Just above the clavicle, and then right in between the clavicle and the Adam's apple.
And then just twist down until the bleeding stops.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you do.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Excellent. Yeah.
That is completely false. Do not take any of that. That is warning.
warning. Do not listen to us. We are idiots at this point. Yes. No. Do not put a tourniquet around somebody's neck.
Yes, that's for limbs only. Yeah, limbs only. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you just kick us off here and just kind of start wherever you'd like and walk us through what happened.
All right, so they're on this dark, cold night. I was born in a manger, and I'll fast forward. I'll fast forward from there.
Just a few, a little ways.
A few years, okay. This was about a month ago now. I've been kind of neglecting putting on online just because I wanted to see where it's just some stuff that sometimes things need to shake out before you can really talk about things, and this is kind of the first I've really talked about it. Other than just like face-to-face to people.
Well, we are expose journalism, so I mean that's what we do
exactly.
here at Slamfire Radio.
That's why I came to you guys first.
Cutting edge, exclusive stories. Wait, no, we do the news. We're washed up has-beens.
I think you guys were really scraping the bottom of the barrel when you're like, "Hey, would you like to come on?" I think that was really what happened. Everybody else backed out on us. Where's Furlot anyways? Oh yeah, he didn't show up again. We got to call Brian. So.
Basically, you nailed it. Yep.
All right. I'm in. Anyway, so about a month ago, I shoot bullseye competitions. I decided last year I really wanted to focus more back on the fundamentals. I was always doing the fast, fun, cool stuff, but I decided it's time. I really need to go back and focus on my fundamentals again. It's never a bad place to start or return to, I don't think. So I started shooting bullseye. So I've been shooting bullseye for about a little under a year. Pretty seriously, though. I go about every week, except for tonight because I skipped it to come talk with you guys. But that's neither here nor there. The things I do, sacrifices I make for my friends.
Of course.
Absolutely. So we do the match. It's kind of a short match. A lot of the guys are older. We only do the 60 round. Shot at 25 yards. Typically rimfire, 22 pistols. So it's cool. Done with a thing. Well, a lot of times, some of the older guys are also IPSC and IDPA shooters, and after we're done shooting the match, then they'll go and do some more fast, draw from a holster, and do some fundamental drills that relate back to their thing. Well, some of the other guys that aren't technically, really versed in that area, like they'll just say, "Hey, I got my," they just kind of come over to play a little bit, draw their guns and fire and stuff like that too. Now. I hung out a little bit with them, and they're like, "Well, show us what you can do," because they all know that about Valkyrie defense and that we teach, and I'm like, okay, well, so and also one of our assistant instructors was there with me, Sean, whose birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday, Sean. I think the game that they were playing was draw and fire one round. They just wanted to see how and make one hit. That was all they were really doing on an 8-inch circle at like 10 yards, I think. So they're drawing and firing, and they said, come up here and show us how to do it. So we did a few reps. I think I did like 10 reps, and I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go to a birthday party. I'm out. So I go to leave. Sean says, I'm leaving too. Let's go. So we went out by my truck, and we were talking about that weekend's class, like, hey, how many do we have? What do we need to look for? Is there any special needs or anything like that for courses and stuff? So, or with students. So kind of, he was like, well, I got to get out of here. Yep, me too. So he jumps in his truck and drives away. And for some unknown reason, I don't know why, I decided to not once in my life text and drive. I actually sat there for a couple minutes and answered about 3 or 4 texts that came into me. Odd. Because normally I live on the edge, and I like to text and drive. I like to take chances. But I sat there for a minute, and Sean, I watched him pull around my truck and drive around the range and pull out and leave. And I heard the typical, they were still doing their drills. I heard a gunshot as he was driving away, and I didn't think anything of it. So I finished my text, and I go to put my truck in reverse. And one of the guys comes running around the building waving his arms, and I'm like, oh, I rolled down my window like, hey, what's up? He's like, I said, did I forget something? He was like, no, so-and-so just shot themselves. And I'm like, oh, okay. And So I always keep my med kit, like we tell everybody, always have a medical kit on you somewhere. So I grabbed my trauma bag, actually, that we use for all our courses. I have one. Jason has one. I grabbed mine out of the back of the truck. And I took off running towards where they pointed me. And when I got there, the gentleman was making his way over to a chair to sit down, and I could see that he was kind of limping with one leg. One of our former students was standing there, and he was like waving me over frantically, and I'm like, okay, what's up? He said he just shot himself reholstering, and I was like, okay, well, let me see it. I need you to take your pants off. And he said no. He was very bashful. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna cut your pant leg off then. He said, no, these are my good pants.
There's a hole in it now, sir.
Well,
they're probably not
yeah.
going to be good pants anymore.
We'll get there. That's I'm just going to give you the whole story, and then we'll talk about lessons learned in a minute.
Okay.
So I said, okay, but I need to see the wound. I need to see what's going on. So he actually pulled his pant leg up while I was putting on gloves. Always carry the gloves in there too. I don't know this, I know the guy. He's probably one of the best bullseye shooters that we have at our clubs every week. He's 70 years old, super nice guy, handles the gun more safe than anybody else on the range every week. So that, which proves that it can happen to anybody at any time. So, always respect that firearm. But as I was putting the gloves on, he was rolling his pant leg up. So I got down and he was still sitting in a chair. He didn't want to lay on the ground. I said, let me see it here. So I kind of was looking at it. I kind of got down on my knees, kind of beside his leg, and I'm looking. I said, well, this is either a graze or an entry, and I'm not going to stick my finger in it. I said, I don't want to cause any more damage. I said, it's bleeding, but a compression bandage is going to do. So I compression bandaged it. And as I was, I reached up and grabbed my compression bandage, tore it with my teeth, applied the compression bandage as you're supposed to. And as I was doing that, another gentleman reached down and said his shoe is full of blood. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get to that in a second. But as I said that, they were also untying his shoe, and then they pulled his sock down. And as they did that, it squirted blood up my pants and onto my shirt. Ooh. And that was at that point I realized that we had a little more of a little serious problem than what I initially thought when I got there. Now, granted, this hadn't taken very much time. This was, maybe 3 minutes, maybe at most, because I ran from my truck to the range with my bag. I didn't have to go looking for those supplies. They were in my hand. So I grabbed the tourniquet that I already had laid out, grabbed it, slid it up his leg, cinched it down, started twisting it. And as I was twisting it, I had to twist on it so hard that I was actually twisting the windlass in half. It was pumping. It was still, pump. And as I'm twisting, the more I'm twisting, you can see it slowly slowing. As I, finally got it twisted down, it stopped. I secured the tourniquet, went and grabbed another compression bandage, compressioned it over that hole, and we waited for the medical professionals to arrive at that point. First on scene was a medic, then was followed closely by a ambulance with 2 other EMTs inside, and I believe it was right after that, or with that ambulance, the sheriff showed up. So there was quite a few people on hand. Then I was kind of just threw up my hands and walked away and said, I'm good. The real people are the real heroes are here now. Yeah. So that's about it. That's really the story. Your turn to ask me questions.
All right. So, well, I guess let's start at the beginning and start with the questions in chronological order, I guess. Do we know what it was exactly that he did when he shot himself? So let's learn first of all from his mistake. Was it finger on the trigger? Was it something got caught in the trigger guard? Do we know how his gun went off when he was holstering?
Yes. Well, initially we didn't. All we knew was it went down the side. When I first initially talked to him, when I said, what's up? How'd this happen? I don't know. My finger was still on the trigger. That was all he said. So I didn't know if it happened reholstering then, but as time went on, I got to talk to him a day or 2 later after he got out of the hospital. He said that he drew and fire and missed, and he was perplexed because he doesn't miss that often. He is a very good shooter. I'll give him that. And when he come back in, his conscious mind was on the target itself. It wasn't on the finger, and he had not done this enough to ingrain in him that subconscious. How do I say that? Subconscious or that habitual. The habit of taking his finger off the trigger once he comes back to high compress ready or brings the gun down. He just hadn't trained that into himself yet. And so when he went to reholster, his finger was still on his trigger while he was thinking about that target versus what he was actually doing, which is very important. Why we always tell people, if you're going to reholster, you need to be thinking about reholstering, not anything else but that. So.
Right. Okay. So it was just, he's a bullseye shooter, but bullseye shooters, I guess, don't shoot from the holster?
No, they don't. It's
Okay.
like I say, it's 25 yards, slow fire, and then they do some fast fire stuff. But you always start with the gun in your hand, and the gun is only ever laid on a table in front of you.
Oh, okay.
There's no drawing and firing. It's kind of like I think it's called up there. You guys call it like PPS or something like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand now. Okay. So while he was a very competent shooter,
Yes.
he wasn't very competent with his holstering.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
It was just out of his wheelhouse. It was just
Sure.
something he hadn't worked with that much. And actually, he told me the next day or the next 2 days later when I actually got to talk to him that was a brand new holster. He's never even used it before. That was the first night he ever used it.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, the lesson learned from that then, I guess, is anytime you're going to be running a holster, make sure that you're really thinking about running that holster.
Exactly.
But yeah, okay. I was just curious if we could learn anything from that gentleman's mistake, anyways. But we could, so
Yeah.
that's good. So then on to when the accident itself actually happened. So you said somebody came over and got a hold of you, and you just grabbed your kit and you ran right over. So you got your kit with you everywhere you go. Do you have it?
Yes.
So regardless of if you're going to the range or not, you've got it in your truck.
Always. And that's one of the things we always try to tell people. Like, you're more than likely to get hit head on the way home by a drunk driver than you are to ever have to use your gun in real life.
Right.
In a life and death situation. And that doesn't just go for you either. That's, how many gunfights have you guys been in? I've never
Just
been in one
6
yet.
this year so far, but
Well, you are the golden bullet, and I'm just staying away from you. So, but I've never been in one myself. But I've actually been on. Now, this would make my second. I guess you would call extreme trauma. Situation. The first one, the person died where I was at, and that's not fun either.
No.
To do everything you can do and then have the person die there in your arms. That's not fun either. So. We try to tell people you always need to have a medical kit on you. I carry a Dark Angel. It's called a Pocket Dark. It has a tourniquet in it, compression bandage, tourniquet, or a SWAT T tourniquet that can be used as a compression bandage with the large thing of gauze. Has Celox Rapid Clot, and it has some duct tape in there if you need to seal up a sucking chest wound. And
it's not even all that big, is it?
No, it just fits. It fits in a cargo pocket. That's actually usually where I carry it. I always have that on me. I usually carry a Dark Angel Dark kit also in my car, and our trauma bag for our range. But sometimes that Dark kit gets moved around between my car and my wife's car, depending upon what I'm doing and where I'm going, if I'm with her or not. So.
Right. I just looked up the Pocket Dark. It's $40 US.
Yeah.
Like this is not an expensive piece of kit.
No.
I don't see any reason why. I can't think of it. If you have enough money to buy ammo to go to the range and go shooting, I think you should splurge a little and pick up one of these to have with you.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, I when I first started coming around, like I would show up and I would have my little. I always keep I keep my Pocket Dark in my pocket all the time, but then I also have like that Dark kit with me, or I have, sometimes I would have one that I made individually and just thrown in a backpack. And I'd say, jokingly, hey guys, if you ever need this, my med kit's right here. And they would always laugh at me and be like, oh, you need that for? Well, I don't know. Well, I've been shooting, for 40 some years, and that it's always, that's the type of guys you're hanging out with whenever I'm shooting. And they never thought ever to bring a medical kit with them.
Right.
It wasn't until after this really happened that people got serious and asked our range, hey, where's our med kits at?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
And that's why I just tell people, if you're going to go to the range, you need to have a medical kit, or the range needs to have one, but don't rely on just the range to have it for you. You might need one between the range and home. And that's an issue.
Yeah, well, I know that the ranges that I've been to, they have first aid kits, but they're not trauma kits by any stretch of the imagination. There's some gauze and some tape and some Band-Aids.
Yeah,
That's
and there's a big difference.
it. And you're not going to
difference.
you're not going to save somebody's life with a Band-Aid if they've, severed their femoral artery.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're not going to do much for them at all.
No.
You better figure out real quick how to field expedient a tourniquet or something like that.
Absolutely.
Real fast.
So, what's the main difference between? I'm just guessing here that the full size dart kit just has more gear in it.
Yeah, the full size dart has a set of shears, and it has a larger piece of Celox or a hemostatic agent. I think you can either get
that's the clotting agent, right?
Yeah, the clotting agent. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just dumbing it down for the listeners. We know who listens.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Well, I was talking about Trevor because he listens every week.
Okay.
But, whatever.
I get it. Yeah. There's Celox, and then the other brand is called Quick Clot.
Right.
I prefer Celox because Celox is really made for people like us. When I say people like us, I don't mean between the ages of 18 and 30 that are in prime fighting condition like you would find in the military. Right. Think of it more as commercial grade versus mil spec.
Okay.
That's kind of how, Celox works better with people on blood thinners. It works better in cold temperatures. Anything that you can think of that would cause blood to clot a little harder or have a harder time clotting blood, Celox works very well with.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's in my opinion, it's better than Quick Clot, and that's why I go with it. So you can order it both ways, though. It also has has the shears, has a larger package of the hemostatic agent, Quick Clots, and Celox. It also has the gloves. It has a cat tourniquet in it versus the SWAT tourniquet inside the dark pocket. And it also has halo seals for chest wounds. So if you have like a sucking chest wound, it actually has like the legit chest seals in it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now let's just talk about the basic items in there again. You talked about the tourniquet, the Quick Clot. I'm just going to use the generic.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's pretty obvious. Everybody always knows it as.
Yeah,
so.
The Quick Clot. Yeah, and the compression bandages and stuff. Just because you have that, are they pretty foolproof to use, or what sort of training are people going to need to operate this gear?
That was one of the big takeaways from this incident that I had. If I had already taken the Dark Angel medical course, their direct action response course. If I hadn't taken that, I had training in tourniquets and compression bandages before that, but I never had the actual hands-on that they gave me in that 2-day class. And the class was pricey. It was probably $500. But I also got a kit along with it, and I got 2 days of training on how to use this stuff. And it wasn't just for gunshot wounds and stuff like that. It ranged from everything from exposures to heat and cold, all the way up to puncture wounds, gunshots, everything. I mean, it ran the entire gambit. Deep lacerations, complete breaks, external fractures, and all that stuff like that. It was a very, very good class. Someone in the class actually they related it to an actual medic course that a certified medic would have to take, only condensed down to a 2-day course. So it was really great. And I don't think that I would have fared as well or would have acted spot on as I did if I hadn't had that training prior to that, because you don't want to be covered in someone else's blood, while everyone else is losing their minds around you, and you're the only calm voice of reason, and you're trying to figure out how to use a tourniquet or how to wrap a compression bandage properly. That's not the time to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, that stuff should be sort of the autopilot part, whereas the rest of your brain can be used to help calm people down and to give them instructions to go get more help.
Yeah, and I had to direct them on, hey, has anybody called 911? I need someone to go to the end of the driveway to make sure that the ambulance knows which range we're at. So, and the other guys, when they've never thought this out. So a lot of forethought goes, I've always prepared every time we teach a class, and I'm teaching the medical portion. Anybody who comes to a Valkyrie defense course, is going to get about a 20-minute to 30-minute section on us talking about those 3 items: compression bandage, tourniquet, and hemostatic agents. And we're going to talk, and kind of give you a little rundown on how to use those things. We're also, every time I'm doing those, every time I'm teaching that, I'm actually picturing myself and visualizing myself putting it onto somebody or putting it onto one of the students. I think visualization is huge in preparing your mind for what you're going to have to go through. It also helps automate things a little quicker, as you said before.
Yeah, and we've talked about that in the past too. I mean, even for the shooting sports, we've always said that, if you can visualize, if you're at work bored out of your mind, visualize the perfect stance, the perfect grip, the perfect sight picture, and the perfect trigger press. And just doing it in your brain, just in your mind, is a good way to practice something. And this is no exception. I mean, absolutely, if you know these skills already, practice them over in your head and have that sort of as an autopilot ability whenever the actual emergency comes to light.
Yeah, and I mean, Dark Angel gave me that ability and to practice putting that stuff on people. Like, we actually applied tourniquets not just to ourselves all weekend, but we were applying them to our buddy that was sitting to your left or your right, and it was really neat. They would say, tourniquet left arm, person to your left, and so you would have to grab that tourniquet off the desk in front of you or wherever you had a tourniquet in your pocket and wherever, slap it on that person and do it. And it helps. It really helped that. I didn't have to think about it. Everything I came across during that situation was just automated. Like, I saw the wound, the graze wound, or it turned out to be an entry wound. Saw that. I was like, okay, it's just bleeding. There's no squirting of blood. No, obviously this is an arterial bleed. Compression bandage. That's all this needs. And then I worked down the body. I knew how to do that. So
did you end up finding out how the bullet traveled down the leg? Was it just in the thigh, out the ankle kind of thing?
Yeah. So it went in and down the leg. So it entered the thigh and it ran down the leg, parallel with the leg, and then struck his shin bone and then exited above his ankle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it grazed his artery, but actually did not puncture the artery. Now, see, that's one other thing that I was going to say, lesson learned in this. Everybody saw squirting blood. Everybody saw pumping with the heart blood coming out this leg. None of us had our MRI machine on us. So we didn't. You didn't
bring your MRI machine to the range.
Yeah, I left it at home. Actually,
I see. Yeah.
It was on my other key ring. So, so all I could do was just react to what I saw, and I felt bad for almost a day or two after that, because whenever they called me and said, yeah, it was just grazed, they didn't actually puncture his artery. I felt kind of bad to myself, and I'm like, well, maybe I overreacted. Maybe I put a tourniquet on somebody who really didn't need it. But at the same time, and one of my friends who is a medic, I was talking to him about it, and he said, dude, you did everything that you could do. And he said, we would have done the same thing. We would have had to have done the same thing. If you see that, you have no other way to know whether it is or isn't an actual arterial bleed. He said, if there's pulsing blood, you have to put a tourniquet on. And that's what I did. And so I feel a little better about it now after talking with him and all the medics that were there. They were kind of like, whose work is this? And I was like, sheepishly like, oh, that's mine. Like, I thought I was going to get in trouble. But they're like, you probably saved this guy's life, because they all saw the blood too. They saw the amount of blood that was on the ground. It was a lot of blood. Oh.
Yeah, well, you just you mentioned briefly there about the lessons learned. Why don't you said you had a bit of a list of some of the things you learned. Why don't you go down that for us and let's learn about some of the things that you learned in this ordeal.
Okay, so, first thing, some people were going to lock up. There was another guy at the range with a trauma kit, but he just couldn't bring himself to use it. He did panic a little, and I honestly, I can't fault him in that. He had the stuff, but he didn't have the training. And that's one of those things, we see that with gun guys too. You see the guy, the tactical peacock on the range who has everything. He's like $3,000 in Arc'teryx gear, the $2,000, Master Blaster 6000, but they honestly don't really have the skills to do it.
Right.
He had the kit with good intention, and he had been to our courses before. He knew enough to build the kit, but he didn't know enough to actually use it. And so that was he was feeling bad about himself after that. I still say Dark Angel is probably the best out there in my opinion, but they are the ones that I've dealt with. And hey, if you go on their website and look up save number 56, that's me. They changed a little bit of the details just to because I asked them to, but that's, you can go on there and read how many other ones. That's just 56 this year alone. I think there was 3 in that week that when I contacted them and said, hey, you guys saved another life. So that was one of those things. Just get the training. You just having the stuff isn't enough. Don't let the patient dictate. Don't dictate the care. That was my big thing when I told you there at the beginning, and we kind of chuckled about it. He wouldn't let me. He wouldn't take his pants off, and he also wouldn't let me cut his pant leg off. So that was my fault at first, but it didn't seem as serious then. So it was just like, okay, he grazed himself, whatever. Let me just get this and make sure this is okay. But as soon as everything started ramping up, that was when I realized I messed up big time, because when he rolled that pant leg up and went over, I had to put the tourniquet over top of that, because we go as high on the limb as possible.
Yeah.
The arteries are closer to the skin. The higher on the limb you go. And basically what we're doing with a tourniquet is has anybody ever stepped on everybody's always gone out and stepped on a garden. You play a trick on somebody who's watering the garden, you go out and step on the garden hose, right? Yep. And you wait for them to look down the end of it, and then you take your foot off. Well, that's what you're doing with the tourniquet. You're actually taking that artery up high and just crimping it or pressing it against the bone and cutting off that flow. That's all you're doing. Well, because of all that extra added bulk of that pant leg, I couldn't get the tourniquet. I got the tourniquet as tight as I needed to, but the tourniquet almost failed. It was a Cat 5 tourniquet. The new ones are a little more beefy, but I mean, and they're used by the military, so we can't say the Cat tourniquets aren't up to par or up to snuff. I mean, they've saved thousands of lives in the military, especially in the last 16 years. That we've been at war. You guys have been there for with us, helping us out, but when you see plastic, and Adriel probably knows what I'm talking about with his little 3D printer, but whenever plastic starts stretching, it starts to turn white.
Yep.
That was what the bottom of that tourniquet was starting to do as I made that last round, that last revolution. And as soon as I saw it, the wound stopped pumping. That's when I secured it. But I don't know if I would have been able to go another full round without that tourniquet breaking. So that was a lesson learned. Don't let the patient dictate the care you're going to give them.
Yeah, it likely wouldn't have failed that way had you had exposed skin to work with, as opposed to all that rolled up fabric.
Yeah, exactly. I would have it probably would have been like 1 or 2 turns and it would have been done.
Yeah.
But because of that, it was more of a little more of a weight, and he did start to go into shock, which was kind of weird for me, because he was talking and then all of a sudden I see his arms draw into his chest and he started to kind of slump over to the side. But as soon as that tourniquet went tight and the pumping stopped, it was like a light bulb, like you just flipped a switch and he came right back and was like, wow. Like, hey, make sure you put my gun in that bag. It goes in this pocket in the front. I don't want to be looking for it later. And, because, it was like, it was weird.
It's crazy how quickly they come back. Do stop the leak, and look at that, the blood pressure regains and everything starts working again.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been so drastic like that if I would have got him to lay on the ground too.
Right.
If I would have just kicked that chair up from underneath of him and said, you need to lay on the ground, versus, okay, let me see this. But I walked into it not, and it was another lesson learned.
Right.
It was just one of those things. From now on, you got to take control of the situation. They're going to listen to you because you're not the one who shot themselves, or you're not the one in the situation.
Right.
This stuff never happens when you're expecting it. That was the other thing too. It's going to happen on the day that you're late for your nephew's birthday party, and that was me.
Yeah.
I was leaving. I was pulling out of the driveway to leave to go to the birthday party, and when they got me, if I wouldn't have left, I don't know if that guy would have lived, because there was nobody out. They didn't even know that there was a medical kit inside, another medical kit inside the building. And then, like I said, the other guy kind of locked up and didn't really have the training to use his. He kind of locked up himself, and so I'm not sure if they would have got the squad there in time. because it was probably another 8 to 10 minutes before the squad even came, and we're not that far out of town. So if it would have been anywhere else, and if I wouldn't have been there, I'm not sure if he would have made it.
Right.
The medics even said that themselves when they got there. So like I say, it's not going to happen on the day that you want it to happen. You're not going to be ready. You're not going to be standing there on the range, or you're not going to be standing there alongside the road and say, okay, at this intersection, someone's going to hit head on right here. Let's do it. Game time. Like I said, I was pulling out of the driveway. I didn't remember putting my truck in park, honestly. I actually left it run, and someone said they shut it off for me. I just grabbed my stuff and ran.
Well, again, that's one of those automated things, right? Your body just knew what to do.
Yeah, and so it was kind of funny. This is a little side caveat. I called my wife after everything kind of settled down. I'm like, hey, I'm late. She's like, yeah, where you at? I'm like, so there was a little accident. Someone shot themselves, but everything's okay. I am kind of covered in blood. She's like, well, just hurry up and get here. Like, it didn't register with her. And I'm like, I don't really look that good. And she was like, okay, fine. Obviously I could tell that she just answered the phone just to tell me to hurry up and get there. And she was like talking to somebody else. And I'm like, okay. She's like, okay, bye. Love you too. And so I got blood on my shorts, blood on my pants, and then I come rolling into a 5-year-old's birthday party, and I look like I was just involved in a chainsaw or a machete attack. Like, I just walked out of the Rocky Horror Picture, right? And all the kids are like looking at me, and I'm like, yeah. And everyone's like, what the heck happened to you? And I'm like, I don't know what you guys think when I say someone shot themselves, but it was messy, So that's a little funny side story for you. But yeah, then they all believed me after they saw me that someone actually did. So yeah. So that was another thing. Like, say, just always be prepared. Always have that kit with you, and get the training. The training's the biggest thing. We've talked. Valkyrie Defense, we might host Dark Angel next year. We're talking with a couple other local businesses that might want to chip in, and maybe we'll bring them in. But we would need, if anybody's interested in that, shoot me an email, shoot me a personal message on Facebook, no problem. And we're kind of gauge interest before we do sign anything up. We definitely need 12 individuals to even get them to come, because they're coming from out west, and they also book 6 months in advance.
Oh,
so
wow.
They travel all over. They do a lot of police agencies. They do military. They're really cool, and their instructors are top notch. I talked to them afterward. After all this event, I kind of got to be a little closer friends with them on Facebook, and we were talking a little bit. And he was his name's Ross, and he is hysterical. If you like dark sense of humor or have an odd sense of humor like I do, you will sit there and laugh your butt off for 2 days straight, because I did. It was great. So if anybody's interested in that, shoot me a personal message, or shoot Valkyrie Defense a message on Facebook. You can email me too, or email Valkyrie Defense as well. And we're going to try to see if we can get enough interest gained up to maybe bring them in, maybe next summer or fall. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything that you want to mention that you haven't mentioned yet?
Well, Furlot did bail on us for 3 weeks in a row.
Yep.
That
does
make
need
sure
to be...
that gets tossed out there.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. Anybody else we can throw under the bus? No.
Kelly or Adriel, what do you guys got? Anything?
Well, you mentioned that course. Are there any other courses that you would recommend that people take as part of their training?
Yeah, I mean, you can find Red Cross, the basic first aid, stuff like that. Anything's going to help, in my opinion. As long as you can start understanding, keep the juices in and keep the air going in and out. Anything like that's going to help. There are other companies out there. I think there's Lone Star Medics. They do a very good job. Anybody can get into a first responders course in the States. I'm not sure about up there, but anybody could walk down and sign up for an EMS or EMT course in Ohio. So any type of training, even if it's just going online. I know the Department of Homeland Security down here has a campaign that they're doing called Stop the Bleed, and you can go on there and watch videos and read all this stuff on. They're really trying to push to get people to start carrying tourniquets now. And if I don't know if one of you guys want to put that in the show notes later, but you just go on to Department of Homeland Security, and I think it's called Stop the Bleed. But tourniquets are going to become more prevalent. It's what's going to happen.
Well, there used to be a big hate on for them. People used to think that they.
You're right.
And that is a hard stigma to break. I know that. I mean, I carry a tourniquet. I basically have. I don't have the dark pocket kit from Dark Angel, but I have a very similar kit in my truck, and same as you, goes with me everywhere I go. I've always got that with me because you just never know.
I agree.
But yeah.
It doesn't have to be that dark kit. No. Like you said, you built yours. I've built a couple of mine. I have them. I have them at the house. I have them in my truck. I'm in my wife's car. But I always carry around the dark kits because they're vacuum packed, they're sealed, and they come in this handy dandy little carrying case. So everything kind of they're protected. Yes. So I mean, just building a kit, you start with that hemostatic agent, that tourniquet, and compression bandage. That's a good start.
Yep.
It's not going to, you're not going to, if someone's, has a splinter, you're not going to whip out a tourniquet on it,
Wait, what?
Well, I wouldn't, but McClatchy would. But,
I might. You never know.
maybe. But, it's not a boo-boo kit. I mean, you can also build yourself a boo-boo kit,
Sure.
What I like, I like to call them stickers. I don't know if you have to edit that one out, but that's what I call Band-Aids, just to make sure people stop cutting themselves. So, timestamp.
Yeah, I got it. No,
got it. Okay,
yeah, that'll be a bleep.
Yes.
But it's funny. I do like that's a good term. And
yes, you can use it. You can use it. I use it every week. But that stigma of the tourniquet is an evil thing. We've seen, like I said, we've been at war for 16 years. We have seen some of these things a tourniquet stay on up to 6 to 8 hours without destroying the limb.
Right.
That's incredible.
The technology for saving the limb has come such a long way that you don't need to worry about that anymore. I mean, you're not going to have somebody, you're not going to leave it on for a week if you're out in the middle of the woods. I mean, the guy's probably just going to die. So, whatever, it is what it is.
At that point, if you have to put it on, it's going to be, you're going to be in the woods extended. You need to, there's certain ways to release pressure every now and then, but you got to do it a certain way where you can stop the heart because arteries carry blood too, veins carry blood away.
Yeah.
You have to waste away. That nasty stuff that's not getting circulated back around to get filtered is building up inside your arm, is underneath that head of that tourniquet. If you actually release that thing really fast, you could actually kill somebody. Right. So it needs to be taken off by professionals or a certain way. So once they're on from us, they're on. I don't touch them.
Yep, and that's a good thing to actually mention, just to make sure that, I mean, hopefully nobody who's listening needs to use one, but if they do, I mean, look, I think it's having the gear, it's just like shooting. Having the cool guns is awesome. If you don't know how to shoot them, it's useless. Having a tourniquet and a compression bandage and the quick clot and all that stuff, that's great. I encourage everybody to get one. Even if you don't have training, go get one. But then make sure you get the training. Make sure, at least, at the very minimum, go watch some YouTube videos on how to do it. Yeah.
I mean, that's better than nothing.
That's right.
I mean, yeah. And then if you're going to buy a tourniquet, make sure you go buy a second one too that you can practice with it.
Right.
They're kind of a one-time use thing because you don't. They will, once you do tighten it down to a point where it does actually cut the circulation off, you can consider that tourniquet compromised.
Right.
So I always like to tell people they do make practice tourniquets. They're actually more hefty and beefy than an actual tourniquet, than a real life one. And you can get those and practice with them. But yeah, always don't ever practice with the tourniquet you're going to carry.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Good. Very good. All right. Well, any parting thoughts from anybody before we cut him loose?
I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. But did you want to tell us about some of the classes that you have coming up? Maybe Matthew and Adriel will be able to come to one.
Oh yeah, we have one in Battle Creek, Michigan. We need some more people to get it off and running. I forget how many more they needed to secure it. But yeah, that one's coming up in October 8th and 9th in Battle Creek, Michigan. That's our advanced course, our counter ambush concepts course.
Yeah, we actually mentioned that one already this show. So
Oh,
You're
you can just
behind. Yeah.
cut that out then.
Too
Yeah.
late. It's already in.
Dang it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But if anybody does want to come to that, get a hold of Stacy. Or I think she has all the online registration form and everything. She can just shoot it off to you, and or send me a message again, and I will do that as well. So
Cool. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks for coming on and telling us the story, and hopefully that has encouraged some of our listeners to go out and get a trauma kit and get some training on it too. Maybe we can save some more lives.
I hope so. That's what we're here for. We're just here to try to make a difference, and if we can sway someone to maybe think a little more outside the box and just other than a gun is here to protect me and that's all I need. I got a gun. What am I worried about? Kind of thing. It's really hard to pack a wound with more lead and not do any more damage. So.
Yeah. Although I'm willing to try if somebody needs me to. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, and it's been too long. Hopefully you come on again sometime soon.
Anytime. Let me know.
Well, I guess that brings us into the email then, and this first one comes to us from Dave, and he writes, "Hi guys. About 3 years ago, you talked about the Grand Power K100 Basic Mark 7 that Delask was selling, and how it was a good gun for the price. Well, I bought one back then, and I'm very happy that I did. Except, I can't find a holster for it to use it in competition. Nothing serious, just running and gunning at my local range. I was wondering if you knew what holster would fit. I tried a bunch of plastic and Kydex ones at the local gun shop, and they were all too narrow for the slide to fit. Someone at the range said that they thought a Black Hawk Springfield XD holster might fit. Phobos seems to make holsters for the Mark 12, but was told that the Mark 7 would not fit. Any advice you can provide would be appreciated. I'm liking the new additions to the SFR family. I'd love to come out to your course in Alberta, and I'm trying to convince the wife. Wish me luck, and keep up the good work." Well, good luck, Dave. I hope you and your wife can come out too. We got 3 spots left, so if you guys sign up, we'd have 1 spot left. As for your holster, Adriel, you know anything?
Nope.
Nope. Kelly, you know anything?
Oh, the Grand Power. So there was someone at the IPSC class that was running a Grand Power that just showed up for the after class to kick our butts, right?
Right.
Established 6-shooter. And I don't remember what holster he was running.
You basically did not luck out, Dave. Trevor is our resident expert on what guns fit in what holsters, and he knew this email was here from you, but he basically told us he didn't want to answer it for you because he doesn't like you.
Didn't care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just
Didn't
didn't.
care
Couldn't be bothered. I believe is what. Yeah, he's like, nah, it's just Dave.
Why doesn't he message Ryan at Highlander Tactical and see if you can do a Kydex one for him?
Oh, that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either that or solely Canadian, or we can order holster. I haven't done it myself. We can order holsters from the States, can't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought so. Just don't go the flip-flop route. Kelly got cut off there. Oh, you're back. But yeah, we got your first part of your laugh, then it just cut right off. So that was kind of funny, actually.
The flip-flop holster is very tactical, though.
Well, I mean, and it doubles as a shoe, right?
Yeah.
So lose your gun. It's like, oh, my gun fell out of my holster, as it will because it's a flip-flop. At least then you've got a shoe. So
Exactly.
You can
All right.
throw your shoe at them.
Yeah. There you go. Kelly, why don't you bring us this next one from Sharp 97?
Do you think I'll cut out?
I hope so.
I don't know. It's a short one, so let's read it. It's from Sharp 97. It says, "Hey guys, hope all is well. I was sitting one day in my car and thinking, whatever happened to the guy who had to get a replacement card for his pal? He said it was cheaper than it was a renewal. But did they send him the same card, or did they give him a new expiration date? I
don't know either. I'd never followed up on that. I don't know what ever came of that. So if you're listening, guy, who this happened to, because I think it was somebody who wrote in and told us about it, right?
Yeah, he said that he was going to actually get them to send him a new one.
Right.
And hoping that they sent a new date on it.
Well, if you're listening, because I can't remember who it was, I have a terrible memory, period. So I'm sorry. But if this sounds like you, send us an email and let us know the details on that. We'd love to hear the rest of that story. Okay. I guess, Adriel, you get this last one.
From Chris M. Hey, Slamfire. First off, I'm a longtime listener since the early CRR days.
Wow.
And want
that's
to say
cool.
thanks for the weekly dose of Canadian gun content and all the work each of you do to personally develop our sport. Over the last couple of years, I've seen a rising demand in my area for firearms training. There are a lot of new shooters out there who get their license, buy a gun, and then have no idea really what they're doing, particularly on the handgun front. I'm in a position where I would like to start running some basic classes to teach the fundamentals, similar to what Ferlacci, love this, it's almost like a celebrity couple like Benifer or Brangelina or Tomcat, did in Alberta earlier this year. My one question to Matt and Trevor is what they do for insurance to cover them as instructors. It's one thing to coach someone on a personal level.
No, lever. You had it right. Lever. Lever action. Yep.
But as things become more formal, the lawyer in me starts cringing at the potential risk of liability. Thoughts or suggestions?
Check out the CCFR. They have insurance available for instructors, so that is the direction I will point you in, Chris. So that's really cool. I'm glad that there are more people getting involved in helping other people become better shooters. I think that that's important, and I think that if you have the skills necessary and the personality for teaching, I think it's important that we all continue to mentor and teach others how to be safe and how to effectively run their guns. So good on you. That's great. As for Benifer, Brangelina, or Tomcat, Ferlacci, yeah, no, that's from Mo. Actually, he's an IPSC shooter, big IPSC shooter in New Brunswick, and the first couple of years that Trevor and I shot IPSC, we went to all the matches together. We still go to quite a few matches together. But we basically went to all of them. We wouldn't miss a match. And Mo, who also would never miss a match, thought it was funny that Matthew and Trevor always showed up. And so he's the one that actually coined the phrase Ferlacci. So we got to give Mo a shout out for coming up with our name for us. So thanks, Mo.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to mention that Benifer, Brangelina, and Tomcat, they've all separated. You know that.
That's right. And Ferlacci will never separate.
Oh, never, eh?
Ferlacci, we're ride and die. Is that the term? I don't even know what it is. We're closer
Ride
than
and
that.
die, homies.
Ride and die, homies. Yeah, we ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life. Trevor will get that.
Yeah, you guys get
names
tattoos.
inscribed on a tree and tattoos on your butt cheeks.
How did you know? All right, so awkward. If you would like to email the show and see the picture of my name on Trevor's rear end, because he'll send you the picture. I'm kidding, probably. You can email us at slamfireradio@gmail.com. And we have an iTunes review this week. So thank you to Stacy for checking that out and sending that in for us, because Stacy is awesome. This was sent in by CGR Colin from Canada. So I guess that's cool. I mean, we wanted some more exotic locations, but Canada's cool too, I guess. He sends us 5 stars and he titled it Awesome. And the review goes as follows. I really enjoy this podcast. It is informative, funny, and the hosts work very well together. Except for Trevor, because he never shows up. I will be recommending this to all of my friends. I may or may not have tossed in an extra sentence there. You guys judge which one it was.
You read horribly. I don't even know why you do this sometimes.
Oh, yeah? Alrighty.
I'm just playing off the hosts working very well together.
Yes.
It fell flat.
That did.
Yeah, it did.
Your jokes are terrible. I don't even know why you bother anymore.
I think you read very well, Matthew. Good job.
Oh, it was
you'd
funnier,
agree with him.
Angels. Yeah. Let's all turn on each other now. Well, thank you, CGR Colin, for sending in the review. We love getting iTunes reviews, so it made our week. Well, mine anyway. So, anybody else who's out there wants to leave us a review on iTunes, you certainly may. We have 145-star reviews so far, and we like them whenever they come from sort of exotic countries. So if you're listening in Canada or the US, we still want your iTunes review. We still like them, But say you live in Tahiti or, I don't know, what's another cool country? Cuba. Say you're listening in Cuba or North Korea. If you're listening in North Korea, wow, that's cool. Anyway, yeah, send us a review.
I don't know if there's a North Korean option in iTunes.
I don't think there probably is. So if we get one from North Korea, we will just assume that CSIS is onto us. Still. And for our American listeners, CSIS is our CIA in Canada. So there you go.
They say sorry more, but they still watch you.
Yeah, they apologize for watching you is what they do. Sorry, but we're tapping your line.
Hi, everybody.
All right, let's go on to shout-outs. Who's got the shout-outs?
Oh, I got one on here.
There you
Tony Dubé for putting on the Black Badge course. he had to drive 6 hours from Peace River to Bonnyville. So, like, this isn't like let's make a bunch of money and teach some guys some pistols. Like, you gotta be pretty committed to this kind of thing to have to drive 6 hours and put on these training courses. And he put a ton of time with us on the range. Like, it wasn't like a 8 to 4 and then we're off and everyone's out, or even, some courses, so some of the instructors will leave early. We're on that range for a lot of hours. I definitely got my money's worth. So I just want to say thank you.
Awesome. Kelly?
And I just have a shout out going out to Dave Hartman from the Three Gun Show. He was on recently and he was chatting us up. I was listening to his latest episode and it was pretty awesome, pretty funny too. So it was great information. And I just want to say, hey. Cool.
I'd like to shout out all the listeners in North Korea. That's who I'd like to shout out. So,
안녕하세요.
do I have to edit that? Do I have to bleep it? I don't know. If I don't understand it, I'm bleeping it. All right.
It's just hi.
Oh, okay. I'll let that go then. So some new Patreon supporters. We have Byron A, who is supporting us for $3.38. So that's cool. $3.38 Lapua. Is it Lapua or Lapua?
Whatever's funnier.
All right. I've always called it Lapua, but the guys at the range here say Lapua. And they are French, so I'm guessing that's probably wrong. But Lapua is what I've always called it. Anyway, and then to James B. He sponsored us for a 20mm cannon. So that's awesome. Like, super awesome. So thank you to James. Big caliber. Yep. All right. We do have some Patreon special content coming up soon, actually. So Patreon supporters, stay tuned. It's in the works, and you will have to wait not much longer. So that's new and exciting. So please join one of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR or the CSSA. It's important to support those who support us. Please check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. It's an online gun forum where you can chat with us and listen to the show and other things too. I guess there's other parts of the show or of the forum. I guess they're not nearly as interesting as our section, but there's other sections there too. Please like us on please like us on Facebook. We're at 1,535 likes so far, and in addition, we have 110 thumbs up, 20 gold stars, 2 flukes, 4 manatee flippers, 2 kangaroo thumbs, 1 safe space, an HK logo, 2 hobbit thumbs, 5 duck bills, and 2 squirrel nuts. So, yeah, we've got a lot of cool things. Yeah.
There's a partridge in a pear tree somewhere there.
Not yet. No, we haven't had a partridge in a pear tree sent in yet.
Oh, don't ask for it.
So, no, because we don't want to finish off. Maybe for the Christmas special, we'll include the partridge in a pear tree, but that's it.
For now,
right.
Pumpkin spice latte?
If you want. If you have a man bun, then I suppose... Adriel, do you have a man bun?
No. He doesn't have any hair.
I know, that's the joke. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this week. You guys got any parting thoughts?
Don't put the tourniquet on the neck.
Don't put the tourniquet on the neck. I like it. How about you, Kelly?
That could be a song, Don't
that could. Yep.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.